She faced ridicule from the privileged mothers, scorned for her choice of attire, eschewing designer dresses and diamond watches in favor of a simple linen shirt and a well-loved canvas tote. "Perhaps she's the maid who wandered off," one of them remarked. When her son had food spilled on him in the cafeteria, she requested to review the footage, and a parent rose to point at her. "Who do you believe you are?" That afternoon, her wealthy spouse's helicopter touched down on the football field. Astor Heights Academy perched majestically on the hills of Greenwich, Connecticut. The ivy-clad stone structures murmur of ancient wealth and an air of unattainable elegance. The campus was a meticulously crafted work of art. Lush green lawns, a library beneath a shimmering glass dome, and a performing arts center that welcomed senators, their daughters, and heirs of the tech world. The annual tuition was $65,000, and the list of parents resembled a roster from the Forbes 400. Titans of hedge funds, moguls of media, families whose names adorn hospital wings and museum plaques. The atmosphere crackled with a sense of privilege as the sleek Range Rovers congested the drop-off lane, while students flaunted their monogrammed backpacks and exchanged hushed tales of summer retreats in the Hamptons. Astor Heights transcended the role of a mere educational institution. It stood as a bastion of social hierarchy, where prestige reigned supreme and the craft of exclusion was perfected. Every morning, Elise Harper accompanied her son, Theo, to the school's wrought iron gates. The linen shirt she wore fluttered gently in the breeze, while her flat shoes made no sound on the cobblestone path. At 38, she exuded a quiet elegance that effortlessly drew the eye without seeking it. Warm brown eyes, chestnut hair casually woven, a subtle smile that conveyed both compassion and strength. Her canvas tote, worn and frayed at the edges, held Theo's lunch, a library book, and a small sketch pad filled with her ideas for community projects. Elise and her husband, Graham, resided in a quaint colonial home just a mile away from campus. There was no gated driveway, no security detail to speak of, just a garden she lovingly tended and a front porch where Theo crafted model rockets. They had the means to acquire half of Greenwich, yet they opted for simplicity, embracing a life free from the embellishments of their affluence. To Elise, wealth served as a means, not a symbol of power. Theo, at the age of 9, was a reserved child, possessing his mother's warm brown eyes and an impressive talent for astronomy. He donned simple khakis and a navy sweater, his backpack devoid of any logos, his lunch consisting of a homemade turkey sandwich and an apple. At Astor Heights, where children showcased $500 sneakers and iPhones brimming with private jet applications, Theo felt unseen, or even worse, like a target. The other parents observed it as well. At pickup, Elise lingered on the outskirts, her tote casually draped over her shoulder, as groups of mothers in Loro Piana coats and fathers in bespoke suits gathered, their voices laced with a keen edge of scrutiny. Could she be the caregiver? One murmured, her diamond studs shimmering. "No, she's the mom." Another responded with a sly grin. "It seems to be a situation that warrants a scholarship consideration." Their laughter cut through the morning chill like a sharp blade, yet Elise remained unflinching. A week prior to the cafeteria incident, Elise discovered a printed flyer tucked away in her mailbox. It's a striking statement that declares, "Petition to safeguard the standards of Astor Heights." Meredith Lang, Preston Tate, and 30 other parents put their names to a petition, calling for more stringent admission standards to safeguard the prestigious legacy of the school. The flyer omitted the names of Elise and Theo, yet its purpose was unmistakable, stating, "At the next PTA meeting, Meredith rose, her tone laced with insincere worry. Certain parents fail to enhance the reputation of our community. Maybe they would find more joy in a different place." The room acknowledged, parents murmuring. She refers to the Harpers. Elise, nestled in the back, her tote resting on her lap, sensed their gazes piercing through her like daggers. A father, Victor Crane, remarked that their child is quite the distraction, constantly complaining about stars. The laughter rang out, piercing and harsh, as phones recorded Elise's lone silhouette for the scorn of social media. She exited the meeting prematurely, the flyer wrinkled in her grasp. her composed exterior concealing a fierce passion for justice. The petition amassed 200 signatures online, each one a clear statement of dissent. She waved at Theo, her smile unwavering, and made her way home alone. The derision intensified. At the autumn fundraiser, a formal gala held in the school's atrium, Elise made her entrance in an elegant cream dress, devoid of any jewelry. She traded her tote for a clutch that had been with her since her college days. The other mothers, adorned in Valentino and sparkling with Cartier, surrounded her like predators in the water. "Oh, Elise, how charming," remarked Meredith Lang, the wife of a venture capitalist, her red lipstick curling with a hint of amusement. "Did you create that dress on your own?" The gathering erupted in laughter, the sound of champagne flutes gently clinking together. A father, Preston Tate, leaned in, the gleam of his Rolex catching the light. He remarked with a voice that carried, "I bet they're just here for the free hors d'oeuvres," prompting a few nearby donors to laugh. Elise took a sip of her water, her gaze steady, and spoke gently, "I'm here for Theo's school." Meredith's smile grew strained. "Certainly, my dear. How generous of you." The words struck with the force of a blow, yet Elise merely nodded, her composure intact. At the silent auction for the fall fundraiser, Elise positioned herself next to a display showcasing Theo's astronomy project, which featured a hand-drawn star chart affixed to a simple board. The other mothers, spearheaded by Meredith Lang, assembled close by, their diamond necklaces sparkling beneath the chandeliers. "Check this out," Meredith exclaimed, gesturing emphatically at the chart. Did her child use crayons from the discount store? The laughter of the group echoed through the atrium, capturing the attention of the donors nearby. A mother, Sylvia Crane, remarked, "I doubt they can even afford a telescope. How unfortunate it is to gaze at the sky without any reward." With the advent of phones, images of the chart were captured, accompanied by captions that showcased the charity art circulating online. Elise caught the conversation, her grip on the clutch firm, yet she knelt to fine-tune Theo's display, her expression steady. A father, Preston Tate, casually flicked a dollar bill onto the board, a smirk playing on his lips, as if to inspire your next creation. The laughter of the crowd surged like a palpable force, encircling Elise, but she remained resolute, her brown eyes unwavering, her dignity serving as a fortress against their harshness. The footage of the event reached 5,000 views by midnight, with every comment feeling like a new injury. Theo encountered greater challenges. In the cafeteria, where students gathered around gleaming oak tables beneath the bright skylights, a group of boys, spearheaded by Carter Lang, Meredith's son, a slender boy with a sharp edge, made him their daily target. "Hey, linen boy," Carter mocked, flicking a grape at Theo's tray. "Did your mom really pack you dirt for lunch again?" The table came alive, children capturing moments, their joyous laughter bouncing off the marble walls. Theo focused on his sandwich, but the taunts seeped into his thoughts, leaving a mark. In Theo's science class, students were tasked with a group project on constellations that necessitated pairing up. Carter Lang, the teacher's favorite, stood at the front, selecting teams with an air of authority. "Not Theo," he remarked with a sly grin. His mother likely believes that stars are merely twinkling sparkles. The classroom erupted in laughter, their gazes shifting towards Theo, who was seated by himself at his desk, his notebook displaying an intricate sketch of Orion. Miss Kendall, the teacher, let out a gentle chuckle and said, "Let's move on, Carter." Yet she made no effort to intervene. One by one, students were selected, their stylish backpacks draped over chairs, while Theo stood alone, unchosen. A girl named Lila Tate whispered with intensity, "No one wants to team up with the linen boy. He'll only hold us back." The laughter echoed, while phones quietly captured Theo's moment of isolation. A video was subsequently shared in a private group chat named Aster Rejects. Theo's hands trembled as he shut his notebook, his brown eyes glued to the ground, yet he remained silent. The rejection went beyond mere social exclusion. It was a calculated act of erasure, endorsed by the silence of those who were supposed to safeguard him. Elise discovered the news through a compassionate janitor, her heart shattering, yet her determination strengthening. One day, Carter raised the stakes. As Theo made his way to the trash, Carter and his gang intercepted him, pouring a tray of mashed potatoes and gravy all over his head. The cafeteria fell silent for a moment, then erupted into laughter, with phones out and videos capturing the moment. With a fresh perspective, Carter exclaimed, celebrating with a high five to his friends. Theo remained motionless, gravy cascading down his sweater, his brown eyes aflame, yet devoid of tears. A teacher, Ms. Kendall, observed everything yet chose to look away, feigning interest in her clipboard. At the parent-teacher conference, Elise found herself seated opposite Ms. Kendall, Theo's science teacher, eager to delve into a conversation about his progress. The room was adorned with an array of student projects, yet Theo's star chart was notably missing. Ms. Kendall leaned forward, her smile barely there, and said, "Theo's distinctive, yet he seems to stand apart from our top performers." Elise furrowed her brow, maintaining her composure as she inquired, "Could you explain?" Miss Kendall let out a soft sigh, her eyes drifting over her notes. "His concentration on astronomy is charming, yet it detracts from the overall group interaction. Maybe a school with a more relaxed atmosphere would be a better fit for him." The words struck like a sharp blow, resonating with the parents' contempt. Elise spotted a group chat on Ms. Kendall's laptop, with a message from Meredith Lang clearly in view. "Ensure the Harper child stays in line. He's making us look bad." The instructor made no effort to conceal it, her grin reflecting the harshness of the parents. Elise's hands tightened beneath the table, her brown eyes aflame with emotion, yet she managed to thank Miss Kendall before departing, her tote laden with the burden of betrayal. Eventually, she discovered that Ms. Kendall had disclosed Theo's grades in that conversation, ridiculing his fascination with stars. The breach felt intimate, a teacher's responsibility contorted into a tool of harm. Elise discovered the news when Theo returned, his sweater marked, his tone subdued. Following the cafeteria incident, a private Instagram account, *Elite Only, shared a montage capturing Theo's humiliation. Gravy cascaded down his sweater, Carter's sneer cutting through the air, the crowd's laughter echoing, all accompanied by a mocking soundtrack. The caption stated, "Linen Boy discovers his role. Keep Aster pure." The account, linked to Lila Tate, Preston's daughter, boasted 200 followers, comprising parents, students, and even Ms. Kendall. Feedback accumulated. The charity case received the outcome he warranted. "His mother is quite the punchline. Behold that tote." The video quickly gained traction on TikTok, reaching 50,000 views within just a few hours. Every image reopened a raw wound for Theo, who glimpsed it on a classmate's phone. Elise stumbled upon it when a neighbor shared the link, her heart heavy as she witnessed her son's suffering spread across the internet. At pickup, parents exchanged knowing glances, murmuring, "Have you seen the video? Timeless." Meredith Lang shared an enigmatic story. "There are individuals who simply do not fit in. The natural order takes care of that." Elise lingered by the gate, her linen shirt fluttering in the wind, her gaze locked on Theo's drooping shoulders as he approached her. The relentless digital crucifixion served as a public execution of their dignity, while Elise's calm concealed the tempest raging inside her. It was an accident, he insisted, yet the quiver of his hands revealed the reality. She knelt, gently running her fingers through his hair, her heart aching with emotion. "Share with me what occurred, my friend," she said gently. Theo paused for a moment, then revealed everything. Carter, the potatoes, the laughter, the uninvolved teacher. Elise's jaw clenched, yet her tone remained soft. "You didn't do anything wrong," she whispered, wrapping her arms around him tightly. "I will resolve this issue." The following morning, she strolled to the principal's office, her tote slung over her shoulder, and requested to view the cafeteria security footage. The principal, Dr. Evelyn Warwick, an elegant woman with a knack for satisfying benefactors, reclined in her leather chair. "Mrs. Harper, these things occur," she remarked, her smile condescending. "Young men will always be young men." Elise's gaze remained steadfast. "I'd like to see the footage, please," she reiterated, her tone steady yet composed. Dr. Warwick's smile wavered, but before she could utter a word, Meredith Lang stormed into the office, her heels echoing against the floor, her face flushed with anger. "Who do you think you are, giving orders around here?" she snapped, her finger jabbing toward Elise. "If you are unable to provide the necessary support for your child, perhaps the school isn't the right fit for him." Silence enveloped the room. Other parents, hovering in the hallway, glanced inside, their murmurs growing louder. One remarked on her boldness, insisting on the footage as if it were her right. Another let out a scoff. Chuckles echoed among the crowd, biting and harsh. Dr. Warwick cleared her throat, her eyes flickering with apprehension. "Mrs. Harper, let's not take this any further," she said, her voice laced with insincere sympathy. Elise stood, her linen shirt shimmering in the light, a canvas tote gracefully resting at her side. She glanced at Meredith, then at Dr. Warwick, and finally at the parents who were smirking in the doorway. Her voice maintained a calm assurance, with every word carefully chosen. "You've just imparted the most excruciating lesson of his life," she remarked. "Thank you, but I will ensure he acquires a more refined one. The path I choose." The atmosphere shifted, Meredith's grin disappearing, the parents' chuckles stifled in an instant. Elise pivoted, her heels echoing softly on the hardwood, and strode out, her head held high. Behind her, the murmurs began anew, yet they carried a different essence this time. Unsettled, ambiguous. That afternoon, the school buzzed with its familiar energy, students heading to lacrosse practice, teachers immersed in grading within glass-walled offices, parents mingling over espresso in the alumni lounge. A low thrum sliced through the air, intensifying, a pulse that rattled the windows. Books fell from students' hands, teachers halted their words, and parents rushed from the lounge, their expressions filled with astonishment. A polished, ebony helicopter glided down onto the football field, its rotors cutting through the atmosphere, stirring up a whirlwind of dust and blades of grass. The silver lettering on its side shimmered in the sunlight, Harper Global Initiatives. The name reverberated through the air. Children gestured and murmured in hushed tones. Is that you, Harper?" Mr. Daniels, the teacher, stood still, his coffee cup quivering in his hand. "Harper Global," he whispered. "The telecommunications behemoth? What about the disaster relief fund?" The cabin door swung open, revealing Graham Harper as he emerged into the world beyond. He stood tall and broad-shouldered, his gray shirt casually untucked, with sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He advanced with a subtle confidence that spoke volumes without the need for raised voices. His dark hair bore hints of silver, while his blue eyes gleamed with a keen intensity, surveying the crowd with a focus refined in high-stakes environments. Behind him, a young woman in a fitted blazer, his assistant, Clara, held a folder labeled, "Urgent." The throng split, pupils staring in awe, guardians murmuring softly. "That's Graham Harper," a mother exclaimed, gripping her Birkin bag tightly. "The tycoon? The individual who restored Haiti's communication infrastructure following the earthquake?" Another parent, a tech executive named Victor Crane, turned pale. "He is one of our most significant supporters." Graham remained indifferent to the crowd's presence. He approached the oak tree where Elise sat with Theo, her hands delicately tending to his with a napkin. She lifted her gaze, her brown eyes serene, her smile subtle yet inviting. Graham knelt, gently running his fingers through Theo's hair. "Hey there, my friend," he murmured, his tone gentle. "Are you all right?" Theo nodded, his eyes still glistening, yet resolute. Graham's eyes moved to Elise, an unspoken inquiry lingering in the air between them. She gave a single nod, her hand gently placed on his arm. He rose to his feet, pivoting to confront the audience. Dr. Warwick, Meredith, Carter, the educators, the guardians, the boys who had chuckled in the cafeteria. His voice was hushed, almost unnaturally so, the sort of whisper that sent shivers down your spine. "I overheard someone telling my wife she didn't belong here," he said, his gaze fixed on Meredith, who recoiled slightly, her heels wavering beneath her. Our son should not be seated next to your children. The audience held their breath, the helicopter's blades gradually easing into a gentle murmur. Dr. Warwick advanced, her hands intertwined, her voice quivering. Mr. Harper, there seems to be a significant miscommunication here. Graham lifted a hand, interrupting her. This is not a misunderstanding, he declared, his voice resolute and unyielding. It represents a significant lapse in ethics. You've instilled in your children the belief that worth is determined by the brands of cars they drive and the exclusivity of their credit cards. His eyes scanned the audience, locking onto teachers, parents, and students alike. You've created an institution where malice is valued, and my son has suffered the consequences. Carter Lang stood with his friends, gazing down as his sneakers scuffed the grass, while the other boys shifted uneasily, their bravado fading away. Elise stood, her linen shirt fluttering in the breeze, her tote resting at her feet. She opened the folder Clara had given her, her voice rising, clear and unwavering, resonating across the field. Elise Harper introduced herself, her gaze sweeping across the faces in the crowd. I co-founded the Silent Schools Project, a private fund that has contributed more than $18 million to this institution in the last 6 years. Gasps echoed among the crowd, as educators shared bewildered looks. Parents gripping their devices, Meredith's complexion faded, her crimson lipstick a vivid contrast to her ashen face. Dr. Warwick's hands trembled, causing her clipboard to fall from her grasp. We decided to keep our identities hidden, Elise continued, her tone unwavering, to witness how this institution treats individuals when they aren't basking in recognition. At last, I have found my answer. She took a moment, allowing the significance of her words to linger in the air. You ridiculed my son for his attire, his meal, his parent. You allowed him to face humiliation, and when I sought justice, you found it amusing. Her gaze fixed on Meredith, then shifted to Dr. Warwick and finally landed on the boys. You let him down, you let every child here down. Graham moved closer, his hand lightly grazing hers. With a commanding presence, he declared, his voice slicing through the stillness. Harper Global Initiatives is withdrawing all financial support from Astor Heights Academy. All funding, all support, all opportunities vanished. The audience buzzed with quiet conversations, parents growing visibly anxious, educators exchanging hushed words. Theo will also be withdrawn, he added. He truly merits more than what he is receiving. Elise nodded, her voice gentle yet resolute. We are in the process of constructing a new school, she stated. A place where every child is valued, regardless of their parents' attire, vehicle, or income. Feel free to submit your application. Although I have a feeling that some may not align with our expectations. The consequences were immediate. The reputation of Astor Heights fell apart in an instant. The Greenwich Times featured a headline story. Billionaire donors withdraw support following a bullying scandal at a prestigious academy. The surge on social media was remarkable, as Astor shame became a global trend, with parents and alumni recounting their own experiences of exclusion and cruelty. Affluent families started pulling their children out, concerned about the taint of connection. As the week drew to a close, enrollment saw a significant decline of 20%. In response, the board initiated an internal investigation, placing Dr. Warwick and Ms. Kendall on suspension while the review is conducted. Meredith Lang's social calendar has cleared out. Her charity galas were called off, her reputation tarnished. Carter and his companions confronted expulsion hearings. The impact of their parents pales in comparison to the fury of the public. The individuals who poured food on Theo were identified in the security footage that surfaced online, garnering millions of views. Carter's disdainful expression transformed into a viral meme, labeled, Bully of the Elite. Those who had mocked Elise, Preston Tate, Victor Crane, watched as their enterprises faltered, stock values plummeting as investors pulled away from the controversy. Astor Heights' endowment, once a formidable $200 million stronghold, has seen its funds dwindle, transforming its prestige into a cautionary tale. The school's Instagram, previously a display of pristine facilities, became inundated with comments. How could you? This is disappointing. Justice for Theo. The leaked cafeteria footage transcended mere virality. It ignited a tempest that engulfed the upper crust of Astor Heights. A whistleblower, a young IT staffer appalled by the school's failure to act, shared the video with a prominent news outlet, which broadcast it along with interviews from former students, revealing years of unaddressed bullying. The segment featured Meredith Lang, Preston Tate, and Ms. Kendall. Their images splashed across CNN as the masterminds behind a detrimental environment. Meredith was removed from the board of her venture capital firm. Her status as a socialite vanished. Preston's real estate empire crumbled. With a staggering loss of $30 million in contracts, his Rolex now merely a vacant emblem of past success. Ms. Kendall has been let go. Her teaching license was revoked following a class action lawsuit filed by parents against the school, alleging negligence. The legal action, supported by Harper Global's attorneys, compelled Astor Heights to disburse $5 million in compensation to the impacted families, leaving its endowment severely depleted. The online community unleashed their criticism, with Carter's meme now labeled as elite loser. His college opportunities faded. The world erupted in applause as the Harper's justice, calm, exact, and utterly destructive, left their oppressors floundering amidst the wreckage of their own creation. Elise observed the news from her garden, her toad perched on the bench, her heart calm with the assurance that truth had triumphed. Elise and Graham refrained from boasting. They advanced onward. In just a few months, they commenced construction on the Harper Academy, a contemporary campus located in nearby Stanford. It featured open classrooms, offered free tuition for half of its students, and embraced a code of conduct that emphasized kindness above status. Elise meticulously managed every aspect, from the solar panels to the inclusive lunch program, her sketch pad brimming with concepts for community engagement. Graham provided the funding for the project, yet it was Elise's dream that shaped it. A school where every child could feel accepted, regardless of their canvas tote or homemade lunch. The New York Times described it as a groundbreaking shift in education, attracting a flood of applications from families of all backgrounds, captivated by its potential for equity. Theo flourished. During the inauguration of Harper Academy, he delivered a timid address on constellations, his voice unwavering, his brown eyes shining. Classmates erupted in applause, not from intimidation or hierarchy, but because Theo was one of their own, a kid with a passion for stars, who had endured hardship and emerged resilient. He emerged as a subtle guide, not due to his lineage, but because of his compassion. Children throughout Stanford were familiar with his tale, not as the offspring of a billionaire, but as the young man who remained resilient when faced with attempts to undermine him. Elise and Graham observed from the sidelines, her linen shirt pristine, his gray sleeves still casually rolled. Their desire for attention was non-existent. Their creations resonated more profoundly. Within the walls of their colonial abode, a vibrant energy thrived. Theo's rockets scattered across the porch, Elise's garden bursting with vibrant blooms, Graham expertly grilling burgers in the inviting backyard. They revealed Astor Heights, not through rage, but through purposeful deeds, creating something greater in its stead. The world recognized Elise in her true form, neither a charity case nor a maid, but a powerful embodiment of grace and determination. Her humility, a power that no riches could rival. One evening, as Elise gently tucked Theo into bed, he gazed up at her, his voice barely above a whisper. "Mom, are you upset with those people?" She caressed his hair, her smile gentle. "No one," she stated. "They showed us the path we wish to avoid. That will suffice." Theo nodded, his fingers wrapped around the model rocket, and succumbed to slumber. Outside, the stars shone brilliantly, a constellation of opportunities Elise had meticulously plotted. The Harper Academy welcomed the world, capturing attention not for its riches, but for its compassion. If this tale resonated with you, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.